and ask that question. Then we're going to give the candidates each 3 minutes to either respond to some questions that weren't directed to them or discuss their platform and their concerns. And then after that, then we will have some more discussion. Then you'll be able to ask more questions. You'll be able to really start to engage the candidates in a positive communication process. Once again, this is not a debate. So if a candidate says something, it's not up to you to say, well, no, it's not like that. It should be like this. We're not going there. And I'm going to stand here to kind of like make sure we don't go there. But I hope we have a nice time this evening. I know we always do. We always afford our guests, who is the panelists, the utmost respect. And if there's any real concerns that you may have, you can direct those concerns to me, and I'll see if I can resolve those. The concerned citizens, I will read you our mission statement. Our mission statement is, our mission is to establish and maintain a standard of government in the city of Compton, which is dedicated to the best interests of the citizens by following the laws and principles of the Compton City Charter, local, state, and federal laws that are applicable. We also encourage and support leadership who will serve the citizens of Compton with unselfish honesty and integrity. That's what this organization is about. And all the programs that we introduce and the outreach that we conduct is all to support this mission statement. Now, if you look in front of you on your table, you will see a form. This form is called the Leadership Trait Questionnaire Form. How many have it? Everybody got one? Okay, this is a two-sided form. This is a useful form because usually when we are attending panels or we're engaging candidates, we kind of go from our feelings instead of going by what we know. And our electoral process in the past has been somewhat weak in terms of participation. So we're trying to engage citizens to participate more. We're trying to increase the vote. And so we're trying to introduce instruments that's going to enhance that. So as you see here in this leadership trait, you have 10 traits that you might want to look at during this conversation today. Number 1, articulate, communicates effectively with others. 2, has experience, perceptive, discerning, and insightful. 3, educated, believes in oneself and one's ability. 4, has a history of community contribution and service. 5, persistent, stays fixed on the goals despite interference. 6, determined, task-oriented, acts with certainty. 7, trustworthy, acts honestly, inspires others, ethical actions. 8, dependable, is consistent and reliable. 9, familiar with the issues facing the city. And 10, outgoing, has leadership ability, is respectful of others. Now you see a little rating scale here, 1 through 5. And the key is up above. 5, strongly agree, 4, agree, 3, neutral, 2, disagree, and 1, strongly disagree. This gives you some kind of gauge when you leave this evening to refer back to, so that as you are making your decisions on who you're going to vote for, you will have something concrete to refer to. The other side is a little bit more dynamic. You might not want to do this, and then again you might. But the other side is, see this side where it says important standards and values prioritizations? That column going down, you are supposed to list what your community values are. So whether it's health and safety, potholes, parks and recreation, whatever your issues are, you would list them going down in that hierarchy. Across the top, you see that row across the top? You will put in there the candidate's name. So like tonight, you will put Eric Perridan, Charles Davis, and Ms. Downs' name. because that's all that's here this evening. And then you keep this because you're going to bring it back, and or else you're going to work on it a little bit later. It may turn out to be real fun. So what you're going to do is, as you're talking to them and engaging them and asking them questions, if they answer those questions regarding your values, you will give them 1 plus, 2 pluses, or 3 pluses. Are you with me? If you ask a question, regarding these values, and they don't respond satisfactorily to your question, you can give them 1 minus, 2 minuses, or 3 minuses. And if in fact they answer the question in a way that is okay, you can give them a minus and a plus. And at the end of the evening, all you have to do is algebraically add up the pluses and the minuses, and the person who has the most pluses is your obvious, by math, chosen candidate. This is just something you can play with, because I know that, math is an exact science, but then again, you got some feelings mixed up in there, you got some history mixed up in there, and just because a person has a plus 27 and another person has a plus 20, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to vote for the 27. But at least you know mathematically that you're challenging yourself on what you know about that candidate's ability to address your concern. All right, so I'm through with this science project. Everybody clear?
Yes.
All right, real good. So, this is how we're going to proceed. Can I have, Larry, can I have you start us with a prayer?
Sure.
So that as we move forward with the process of prayer.
Let us all bow our heads. Our gracious, most holy, and everlasting Father, we thank you for this meeting this evening, and we pray, Father, that each and every one present here knows you, knows your Son in the pardon of their sins. And then, Father, we come asking you to look over this meeting. We pray that every heart, every mind, realize that this is not a place that should be set aside for war, but set aside for peace. We ask that you guide our minds, guide our spirit, and let everything be done here this evening, O Heavenly Father, according to your will, not our will. Give us wisdom, give us the knowledge to ask our questions, and then give us the peace of mind of accepting that which we hear. And then, Father, we again ask you to bless this entire congregation. Bless it as we stand, bless it as we sit. These blessings we would ask you in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Okay, so on this side, we'll start on this side. And I would like for you to say your name and your district, and then ask your question. And we're going to go around the room like that. Okay? So, let's start with Dorothy.
Dorothy Miller, District 3.
Good Arsenal, District 3. I'm well versed. I need accident.
I'm Mildred Johnson, District 3, and my concern right now are the potholes, because people are damaging their cars. I know this particular one I'm concerned about has been there for 7, 8 years. They feel it, and so I'm just wondering what's going to be done about the potholes, because they are a problem. And I think it was said that most people in the neighborhood know what the potholes are. There are people that come into the neighborhood that don't know the potholes are there. So.
And did you direct the question to that specific?
I guess all three.
Ms. Johnson, since I've been mayor, it's been a pressing issue for us. Something I found out Tuesday at the council meeting is that the city manager has developed or contacted this company that can do the potholes quickly. So I'm looking forward to seeing when that's going to be implemented and how soon it's going to get to it. I know that we have some grants that are available to us, but you have to have a certain economic level. For instance, where I live at, we wouldn't qualify to use those funds for the streets. The area west of Gonzalez Park, they wouldn't qualify either. Their income level is too high. But there are certain areas which those funds would qualify for. So it's a matter of just having the wherewithal to get it done. And I don't want to cast stones, but we have to have proper supervision from Public Works in order to make sure it gets done. And unfortunately, we haven't had that. And right now, we don't even have a director of Public Works.
One more question and I will finish. I think when this question was directed before, it was asked, rather than patch the potholes at the time we did have some money in the budget, rather than just patch the potholes, why don't you just fix it? And I can't remember what it was, but I know it's been some years since. The pothole comes back every year with the rain.
One of the problems we've had, we really don't have anyone on staff that has the expertise to pave streets. We've been contracting that work out to outside companies. So we need to get the training. Matter of fact, they actually practice on a portion of the street in front of my house. So we don't have expertise, and that's something else we have to do too, bring up our training.
That's it. Okay, anybody else want to respond?
Yes, Charles Dixon. Anyway, my plan, my thought, my vision is to go back to basics. Back in some time ago, we used to always have this slurry seal program. You turn down the street and they were always resurfacing some streets. Those weren't with general fund dollars for the most part. They were with state gas tax dollars we pay through our gas tax. When you buy gas, there's a state tax in there, and also federal money. So you know, I think it's like twofold. One, and like the mayor is doing now and the council, they got this company that's working on trying to fix the holes now, but also a long-term project is go get some of that grant money and federal grant money, state grant money, and work on resurfacing our streets. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Downs?
Yes, in my opinion, looking at it from an employee's perspective, because I'm a 21-year employee, well, they laid a lot of us off. So that's why I feel that our streets are in the condition that they're in. I think also that we need to seek more proactively grants that will surface the other streets. You know, the one that the mayor is referring to, or the high income areas. Most grants won't pay those streets, but there has to be some grants out there for the low income areas. Because if you drive through the city of Compton, my daughter's friend broke her axle on a pothole. And it's costing them money and it's costing the city money because they're gonna file a claim. So we need to be more proactive in seeking grants that will do that.
But the city will not have some of those claims in the fact, I know for a fact, but
Okay.
Mrs. Booker?
Member on District 1, and this is a question for all three of you. I want to know, why are you running for office?
I'll start. Rose Downs, I'm a city employee. I've been looking from the inside out. I see a lot of waste in our city. I'll see the city purchase a program for thousands of dollars, never use it. And I see areas that can be improved upon. I went back to school to get my master's degree in public administration, so I feel I prepared myself just for a position as this. And I'm a resident of the city. I'm passionate about this city, and that's why I'm running. I feel like I can make some changes.
Sure.
I came out of retirement to do this. You know, I was city clerk for 30 years, and I'm on the College Board of Trustees. But why am I running? I'm running because the citizens of Compton have been good to me. And I'm still alive, I'm still healthy, I still have a sharp mind, and I want to continue to give back. I think we need to stabilize our finances a little bit more. I think think we need to be a little bit more conservative, and I think we need to, as I learned the word over at college, be more collaborative and collegial with each other on board. No one, and I don't care who comes up and talks to you, the mayor, council, or council person, not one can get anything done. It takes at least 3 votes, and in some cases 4 votes, to work as a team to fix the problems that we have in our city. And my slogan is, your vision is my vision. 10 square miles, what the pothole on your side of town, the next day I could run through the same pothole. The trees, the problems. So I'm in it to try and make a difference from within. Not to change everything, but just let's get back to the basics. Good public service, good streets, good police service, good fire service, good parks and recreation, and clean streets. That's why I'm in it. Thank you.
I'm running for mayor, Ms. Boone, because I think I have some more work that needs to be done in the city of Compton. I think in the first 3 terms, we've accomplished some things, but I'm not satisfied yet. I think there's a lot more to be done. In my first 3 terms, the reason why I ran for mayor initially was to change the negative perception Compton had. And we came up with a model called Breaking the New Compton, because the perception was that Compton was a city that people didn't want to live in, didn't want to come visit. 2 of our neighboring cities, Gardena, Paramount, and Bellflower, they actually changed the names of the streets, our namesake street, Compton Boulevard, because they didn't want to be associated with our city. We've had some good things that we've done in the first 3 terms. I'm happy about the Major League Baseball Academy. I mean, the Major League Baseball Academy, they actually wanted to put that academy in San Fernando Valley at the Hanson Dam. But I think because, and I can't say this for a fact, but you hear conversations with people. A lot of things is done in Washington and Sacramento based on how they perceive the leadership to be in those individual communities. If they don't think the leadership is there, they will not provide resources to their community. So in the fact that I used to be a police officer, which means nothing as we know in the last couple of weeks, and also the fact that I was a deputy district attorney, because we had some of our past elected officials being convicted of corruption, I think by having me in place as the mayor, it kind of set a tone for those people in Sacramento and also Washington, that they could feel safe by bringing the resources. We were also able to open up the shopping center. We never had a Target in the city of Compton, a Home Depot. In fact, a sit-down restaurant of any fruit we have Fridays now. That brings a different conception to the city. We have a courthouse. A lot of attorneys from all over Southern California work there. If they need a place to eat, instead of driving all the way down to Long Beach, now they spend some of that money here in Compton at Fridays, which helps us to put more money in the general fund. So the reason why I'm running is because there's some more things I want to get done. One, I want to get this aligned with Grand Park completed. Some of you heard the debate last week at the Dollar High. In Manhattan Beach, they have the sand dunes. A lot of athletes use that sand dune for training. Manhattan Beach closed the sand dunes down because they didn't want people to come over there. A lot of people, I believe, because there were people of color. For whatever reason, they shut it down. In Santa Monica, they have a set of stairs that people use to exercise. I used to go there also. So one of the things about changing the negative perception of Compton, we have this laundry dump site. You can't build any homes there. At one time, the same people who built the homes across the street from Cal State Dominguez Hills, they met with me, and they were going to build some homes there because it cost out for them at the time because it was at the peak of the market. They were going to sell homes over there for $750,000, but then the market went down. So now it doesn't cost out. So what we're left with is a site that used to have contamination. So if we could put that park there with sand dunes in the middle, stairs on both sides, just think about the positive publicity we're going to get here in the city of Compton. Here in the inner city, We welcoming people in for cities, two of the most prestigious cities in Southern California. They're trying to keep us out. And then we can charge outsiders for using our facilities. So there's some more things I want to get done. I want to complete that Greenleaf Parkway. And more importantly, it goes back to the question that Ms. Johnson asked earlier. The basic qualities of life, we got to get a better handle on. Because as a city, that's what our job is, protect your public welfare. And we should have a maintenance schedule for trimming the trees, for paving the streets, for graffiti removal. We don't have that at this time. And we got to get a better handle on that. And that's why I'm running.
Thank you. We'll go to the next question. But first, I would be remiss if I didn't recognize someone that we have in the audience that I didn't recognize before, Captain Walker from the Sheriff's Department. Could you raise your hand? Hopefully you'll stay with us the full time. And at the end, you know, if you have a couple of words, I'd like to give you.
I just want to introduce my Lieutenant Jerry Cummins and Deputy Ray Brown.
No, not right now. Bruce.
Bruce Boyden, District 4. I probably don't have any questions for the candidates at this time. I probably have more of a statement more than a question. And
Is there a statement that I can respond to?
yes, statement you can respond to. But given the fiscal and economic woes of this country, I have to publicly say it, I've been very pleased with this city's leadership and being able to stabilize it in the uproar of where the country has been. Not just Compton, but this entire country has been on a downslope financially. We've had some stability. Now, of course, I have issues about our college, I have issues about the water bill, I have issues about everything. So my questions are too many to even begin to address. But what I do want to say to the citizens, really, is that we have to look at leadership in terms of stability and in terms of people who have a vision. And so that's my opening statement. So my question would be to the candidates. I think it's a whole meeting. The statements in the candidates are, what is their vision in terms of the city, in terms of stabilization of the city?
Okay. If we can do that quite within a minute or so each.
You want me to put the timer
You
on?
want to start first? Yeah.
How about that? What I will do, ladies and gentlemen, for the benefit of everyone, because of time constraints, if it's 3 minutes, and you figure 3 minutes is sufficient?
Well, that's at the end. We're going to be a little bit more post-haste
Okay.
during these questions. So a minute to answer those questions.
Okay, fine.
So timer for a minute. Okay. What is your vision?
My vision is to, it's probably tenfold, but the main thing is to stabilize our finance and get back to basics, like the mayor said, quality of life. When you look at your sample ballot and my statement of qualifications, I put quality of life for our community. We've got to get back to that. Thank you.
Okay. Maybe.
My vision for stabilizing the city, one, contrary to what people would think, all the cities is going bankrupt because of the pension. In the city of Compton, our forefathers and foremothers put on an additional tax on your property bill to pay for the employees' pension. So we are fine there. The reason why we got in trouble is because we were spending more money than we had. So that's an easy problem to resolve right away. We need to bring more businesses into the city. And I'm happy to note that Gateway Plaza is going to be starting the second phase soon. Once you bring new businesses to the city, it brings us additional sales tax revenue, additional property tax, and if any employee from the city that lives in the city works there, they're going to keep that money inside the city, which allows that money to go in the general fund, and then we can work on quality of life issues like paving streets, potholes, trimming trees. So that's what my vision is.
Ms. Downs?
My vision, like the other two, are to give the city back in a fiscally sound condition. And I think we need to be, our council will need to look into the finances in a more in-depth way. Don't believe everything you're told by any of the manager, the treasurer, but look at it for yourself. I was born and raised in Missouri, so my mentality has always been show me. And that's my mentality and everything. If anyone knows me, I don't take your word for it, show me. When I went back to school and the professor said something, because you know a lot of our professors, they will tell you anything, and I want you to show me. So if I am successful in obtaining District 2 seat, I want to see it in black and white, and I am a very proactive, intuitive person. I want to work with departments. I think our grants department should be more proactive in going after grants to alleviate some of the finances that we're using, say, in the streets. They've been able to secure some funds for graffiti removal through grants. You can do that with potholes. You can do that with tree trimming. So I want to see the city really successful in improving upon our services, and also getting employees back to work, because I think that's going to bring up the morale, and employees will work even harder. Thank you.
Bruce, what district?
I'm in District 4, the illustrious District 4.
Hello, Andrew.
Yes. My name is Marjorie Robinson, and I'm in District 1. Everything has been said has been heavily on our mind. I live across the street, and we do need a lot of work in this area. I'm from Alabama, and we moving kind of slow. Of course, I know what happens when you don't have the money. So, may God bless you.
Okay, Ms. Robinson, that's
Yeah, that's it.
Sir, your name?
My name is Cheryl Stevens. I live in District 2, and I'll pass on the questions on this matter.
Good evening, beautiful people. My name is Sandra Leitner. I'm a candidate for council member of the 3rd District, and I'd like to know what is your priorities for the city of Compton. They might have already been asked, but I'd like to know what is your priorities for the city of Compton.
So what I'll do is I'll ask you, what is your first 3 priorities? First 3.
My first, number foremost, is getting the city's finances in order.
That's 1.
Second would be to bring some of the employees back to work if possible, because they're the ones performing the city services, trimming the trees. You can't make a schedule if you don't have anyone to put on the schedule. Currently, there are 2 people. There were 1 person going out doing potholes right now. So that's my second one. And third one is to improve the all-around quality of life for our city, our parks and recreation for our kids, because I have a 10-year-old, and I'd like to see more after-school programs that they can be actively engaged in. Thank you.
Mr. Bennett, your 3.
First one, and that would take the other councilpersons to buy into this, is to change our checking process. Back when I first got elected, and when Doug West Sanders was city treasurer, we had a checking account for our retirement fund, we had a checking account for our general fund, we had a checking account for our housing fund, we had a checking account for our water fund. We don't have that no more. All the money's in one account, so you may have $20 million, but $10 million is retirement fund. You can't put it in general fund. We need to change that back to the old way. Only that way, if a department overruns their budget, they got to come back to the council, and then we got to move money. It's very transparent. The other thing I would like to do, and again, it has to do with getting the other council to buy into it, and to get the management and unions too a little bit on that. But when I was in the military, I was in civil engineering, roads around CES, cut grass, dig ditches. That's why I went back to school. Parks does one thing in maintenance, Public Works does something else in maintenance. It's all maintenance, either streets, mediums, or parks. We need to put it all back together. Thank you.
Mayor?
My first priority deals with quality of life. We got to get back to a regular maintenance schedule for trimming the trees, filling potholes and paving streets, graffiti removals. The citizens see that first. Citizens are not really concerned about the internal workings of City Hall. It's visual. And what they see is the fact that we are not on a schedule, and we need to be put on a schedule. We put in 6,000 new lights throughout the city. Brighter lights. I was personally involved in testing the lights on different streets in your neighborhood. We actually went out there to see how bright the lights were, different types of lighting. You know, you have the soft lights you can buy. And I said, no, we want the brightest lights we can get. We want Compton to be safe so people feel secure walking around. I look at Fresh and Easy over there. Nice store, but the lighting is not conducive to people to come. And as a business person, you should realize if it's bright out there, more people are going to come, they'll spend more money. So that's my first priority, get us on a maintenance schedule.
Well, you'll have a chance to get back at it.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Ruby Wilson, I'll pass on the question.
Okay.
Now we Burnett, First District.
Yes.
My concern is the way this city looks. I hear them saying that they're gonna do it. Do we have workers to get it done? If you're saying you want it done and don't have workers to do it, how is it gonna get done? So that's my question. I go through this city, I hardly ever see anybody working. Like I used to see trucks going, people working. I really don't see people working, and I want to know how can we get things done if we're not having people working
You want to start?
for all three of you.
I'll start off with that. In my experience, it's the lack of supervision. If we have better supervisors supervising our workers, the work can get done. Because if you're a supervisor, if the worker doesn't get it, you need to get out there and do it. I'm somewhat disappointed because finally I had a city manager, Willie Norfleet, who was actually going to the public works yard, riding with these different workers, making sure they got the work done. But unfortunately, things change. That city manager's out, they bring another city manager. You have to have a proper leadership. The council can say anything they want to, but unless the city manager is forcing the workers to do it, it's not going to happen. That's the reality.
Ms. Lewis,
Um,
how would you respond?
I drew a blank. Could you restate the question one more time, because I was concentrating on looking at
The city was in bad shape, and she's wondering where are the workers
To get the
that
work done.
to get the work done.
And I hate to go back over revisionist history. Part of the problem was where your workers are, they got laid off. If many of you remember in 2010, 2011, when we were talking about the water rates and the police and sheriff issue, I went before the council and I said, hey, if you don't do something, then we're going to have a massive layoff. And we had the layoff. Part of it has to do with motivation from the top down also. There's a number of items. And if you don't have the money, you can't hire nobody. What then you have to do is consolidate functions. That's somewhat the mayor was talking about. I think the one council meeting just recently where the city manager wanted to consolidate water and public works department and then met some opposition. I believe parks and recreation maintenance and street maintenance should be consolidated, and then you break the people up into council districts. I manage first district, he manages the second district, he has 15 guys working for him, for women. And, you know, and then if you have an emergency, you put assets into one area. That's what we used to do when we were in the military. We broke out and did the job, and then when you had a big job, we came together and took care of it.
I think the way our city looks now is in part because of 88 people being laid off. Not only laid off, we have employees that are furloughed once a month. So that takes away from services. And then, I do believe in good supervision, but you need someone to supervise. You supervising two people, and we have over 24,000 trees in this city, how far are you gonna get it? By the time you get to the end of the street, they're gonna be overgrown again. So it's important that we get to a financial state where we can hire more people to work on a schedule. And I think we do have a interim public works supervisor right now, but he can't be effective if he doesn't have the people to do the work. So we're gonna have to get the city back in a strong financial state, and then we'll be able to perform those city services that we all need. I'm a homeowner in this city, so my property value is going down because of the state of our city. And I want to see it go back up, and I want to see the city prosper. And I want quality of life for every individual in the city of Compton. Thank you.
So I have nobody to answer the question. If we don't have the workers, everybody's saying they want to get the city going, they want to fill the potholes. I don't care who we let. If they can't get the work done, I don't see what's.
So let me ask you this, did you hear an answer to your concern?
Well,
No.
well,
All right, so,
Wait,
it's
wait,
okay, no debate. We're not
no,
gonna-
not debate.
Okay.
But when I said by consolidating Parks and Rec maintenance and Public Works maintenance, you put together the two, and you have more resources to go out into an area and do the job. Right now, you got a Public Works guy that don't do mediums, or you got a Parks guy that does a parks that won't do street repair or tree trimming, so you put teams together of your labor pool, and then consolidate and move on.
Can I follow up with that? Ms. Burner, I don't agree with the fact that we don't have enough workers. We did have people laid off,
Okay.
but you can't use that as an excuse because the work has to get done.
Exactly.
We are currently on a 4-10 schedule. City Hall is closed on Friday. You gotta do a better job scheduling, and you gotta prioritize what's important. So you might not be able to get to number Z, but you need to get to A, B, and C. So I don't agree with that fact that, oh, we had other people laid off. Yeah, we did have layoffs, and we had to have them laid off because if not, we'd have had more issues to deal with. So you had to have the layoffs. But you still got to get the job done. And in order to get the job done, you got to have the right city manager who is supervising the right supervisors who are supervising the workers. All this election stuff means nothing unless you got the right persons in there who really care about the city. You got a lot of people who don't care. They're drawing a check.
I agree.
Yes.
Let's go back. Royce, do you have a question? Yeah. And say your district, name your district.
Royce, that's District 3. I would like to see, bring this city together. I like to see unity summit. I think we need to try to get along with each other in this city. I think we need a unity summit, talk about a lot of things going on. I like to see the city and the school district and Compton College form a partnership. I think that would help. Also, I like to see the merchants and the consumers have a meeting and talk about what kind of items we need in the city of Compton, because during Christmas, a lot of people go to other cities and they bring in some more type business. To produce sales tax, 1% goes back to the city by hiring people in the city.
So,
The question.
so that's the state.
Yeah, state.
All right, food for thought. Mike?
Okay, Michael Turner. You know, I've been involved in quite a few elections, and the question, I mean, what I've been seeing in the past, I see a number of people run for office. Once they lose, we don't see them anymore. What are you willing to do in terms of helping out the citizens of Compton if you're not elected?
Well, I lost to Arsenal in 2006, and I became the chamber director, and I got involved with local VFW law. And then I came out of retirement and ran for office over the College Board of Trustees. And I took the leadership role on when we tried, when the conference talked about raising the water rates. Me and and a couple of people tried to get the initiative together to stop that process. It didn't happen, we ran out of time. And then I took a leadership role on the sheriff's district and police. So that's what I've done since I lost and still stay here in state of Israel. Thank you.
And Leon, we don't have to answer that question. I don't think that
That's
question
kind
was
of hard.
framed for you.
Yeah, I'm a city employee, I'm gonna be there.
But that applies to her also, because when she's not at work,
Okay, so frame it for her then.
it's everybody. I mean, when you're not at work, what are you doing for the city, for the citizens?
I'm a union member and I volunteer on whenever something comes up, I volunteer. I volunteer when workers were paid to do something at events that we have after hours. I volunteer my time. I talk to a lot of kids in our neighborhood to try to get them to go in the right direction because they're our future. And I work with track and different programs to try to help our youth.
That was an excellent job to frame that so she can answer that. Now, we know what the mayor does. You want to frame it again?
No, well, same thing. When he's not marrying, like that, your outreach in terms of, well, the community. I mean, yeah.
Well, there's things that people don't see, and I really don't want them to see what I'm doing. I was a cop here in Compton for 12 years. I'm still a part of my community, Central Alondra. There's a lot of guys that I dealt with when I was a police officer that I took to jail. I'm looking at these guys now hanging up at the liquor store. They're alcoholics. They're on cocaine. I'm trying to counsel them, to encourage them, to get on the right track. I try to talk to the kids. I still have kids graffitiing in my alley. I done ran into them. I didn't call the sheriffs. I dealt with it in my way. So there's things I don't want to get no accolades for. It's not about that. I think sometimes another part of your question is you got people who try to stay in the limelight, and all they doing is just running in place, and they're not really producing anything for the city. So which one is worse? Food for thought.
Next, introduce yourself and your district.
Me?
Yes.
Okay, you get here. Vicki Lindsay, the 3rd district.
You have a question?
No.
Sir?
My name is James Williams III. I'm with the U.S. Department of Justice Community Relations Service, and I don't have a question.
Mike?
What would you do if elected to enhance or to change our public safety? Would you, as it relates to our Compton Sheriff Department, change some of the officers or ask that the officers that we have on the force now be more involved or living in a vested interest in the city? Would you see to it that most of the officers that protect our city care about our city? Which way would you go about finding out how to get a better relationship with these officers?
Ms. Downs,
Okay, as a council person, I don't think we have the ability to choose who the sheriff's department bring to the city. I think we could have a better relationship and promote community policing a little better. I've heard, and when I was in school, my research project was on the sheriff department versus Compton policing. And one thing that I found out was that a lot of rookies are sent to our cities right out of the academy. And I think that should change. If we have a bad crime rate, I don't think we need to deal with rookies. I think we need the best of the best here. So I would really try to work with the sheriff department and the captain there to try to get the best of the best and promote community policing better.
What I plan to do, and I've already talked to this captain about it, and that is, and I asked her, I said, do the sheriff have briefings in the morning? She said, yes. I said, I want to, if I become mayor, I want to come to those briefings. I want to sit in on those briefings. If a citizen comes in with a complaint, without naming the officer, I want to be able to share some of the stuff that we have to deal with. And maybe without calling names out, this is something to be worked out between the captain of the station and myself, a way where they can hear what our people feel without, and maybe that person may change their attitude. But the first thing I believe you have to do is to have a strong line of communication at the top. It all trickles down. Thank you.
Let me first say, my relationship with the Sheriff's Department has been contentious, as most of you know. But Captain Walker, I've had a great relationship with her. I feel more comfortable with the Sheriff's Department than I ever have. This I do know. The mayor of the cities, this is how it used to be, of all the contract cities, every place where the sheriff had a contract, that person decided who was to patrol that city and who wasn't. So if somebody came and gave Lynn Boone a ticket and was disrespectful to Lynn Boone, I was calling Sheriff Bach up and say, you know what, that guy Bruce, I want him out. Now I know that personally that occurred in other cities. I tried to do that with the commander who was since retired, Mr. Walden. He was sitting in the office with me and Carl Steele. Raise your hand, Carl. retired LAPD cop. I'm a cop. We sitting in a room with Mr. Walden. Mr. Walden, one of your people got to go. We don't want to mess with his career. Don't want to make this public, but he has to go. Mr. Walden sat in that room and told me and Carl this.
Go ahead, finish it. He said, Mr. Mayor, you know that I am a council person in the city of Walnut. And as you know, right now, you only have 2 votes. I said, the meeting's over then, Mr. Walden. He was telling me, because you don't have a majority of the council, regardless of what they're doing in other cities, we're not moving that person. That's disrespect. Total disrespect. So I know it can be done. I feel a lot better now. I honestly do. You haven't heard me say nothing about the Sheriff's Department, and I'm not. I'm not. There's some things you don't tell everybody. You got to work it behind closed doors. Because when you start talking, then people put up a wall of defense. So don't think I'm not talking to Sheriff Bach. I am. I'm completely satisfied with this leadership team that we have here now. Would you have a question, Captain Walker?
I really don't want to take up everyone's time. It's not my forum. And I don't want to get
It's
back
not a
to it.
forum. It's just
I mean,
I
but
don't
it's
want to pass
not
up
mine.
anybody.
No, it's not mine. It's their time. But first of all, I really want to just hit on the fact that the mayor and the city managers in our contract cities, they are allowed to choose the captain once a vacancy has occurred. I can leave. No. So what happens, the normal process is that the captain, the city is given 3 candidates. And the mayor and the city managers, they interview the candidates. And then they can choose at that time. When I came here, I really don't know what the dynamics were, but I was assigned here, and I know a lot of thought was put into it. And I think who I am, where I came from, my work ethic had a lot to do with the decision. And I'm only explaining the one side of the decision-making process that I was aware of at the time. When I was assigned here, the decision process was not as it normally. It didn't take the normal course, so I was not chosen. So, and I do understand, but I know most people think that the mayor has a contentious relationship with the Sheriff's Department. I have not experienced any of that. And I can say with all truth that I have really enjoyed my time here at Compton. I can assure you that we don't have rookies straight from the academy working here, because it's a policy of the Sheriff's Department that you work in the jails until you get to come to, wherever the patrol station that you want to go to. The rookies that do come here are usually the time it takes to get to Compton Station, because a lot of deputies want to come to Compton Station, takes probably 6 years before a deputy can get assigned to Compton once they've been in custody. Another thing, I know it's a misnomer. People think that the deputies here don't live here and don't have buy-in. I assure you, I have several deputies who have family members here who went to Compton High School, and each year that I've been here, A higher number of deputies that grew up in this city are coming to Compton. That's why the wait is so long. You would not believe the number of deputies that want to come to Compton for the right reasons, contrary to popular belief. If you do have a problem with certain deputies, you can call me and you can tell me about it, and we will discuss it. And if it comes to the fact that that person has to go, he will go. And I assure you of that. But they, yes, you are, yes, you are. And they do have rights, and we will make sure the deputies' rights are protected as well as yours as a citizen. But we do have a process to remove deputies if they're not, or some wrongdoing is proven. I'm trying to hurry up. One more thing, the rookies, and as far as the other people that are assigned here, as far as lieutenants and the sergeants, I choose them. And I think I have a pretty good handle on what this city wants. I'm glad to be here right now because I'm learning more. So as I interview other supervisors, I have these things in mind, and I kind of tailor my questionnaires with the supervisory staff that want to come to Compton. I can tailor it as I tailored Lieutenant Cummins to come here. But what happens is before any supervisors come to Compton, they have a meeting with me. And usually my first question is, why Compton?
Yes.
I have some buzzwords that either piss me off or because I'm local. And I want them to come to Compton with the right reason because I know what the misnomer is and I know what people think it is. But I live here too. And I need them to know that. And where their mind, where their head is determines on what you see. And I want you to see what I see. And I see nothing but promise here. And I think that people of this city have the right to live free and peace and have a sense of safety, and we're trying to give that to you.
Before I go to that, I just like to say that, as a resident here, I've seen a marked decrease in, I'll use the word rockheads walking up and down the street.
That's right.
I just don't see that no more, and I don't hear about a whole bunch of rock houses going on around here anymore. So there is some progress in terms of some of the things that was plaguing our city. It's obvious to see. So I want to thank you.
You're very
Thank the Sheriff's Department. Diane?
Yes.
You have a question?
Diana Sanchez.
Oh, wait, hold on.
I'm sorry,
Diana Sanchez, I'm a candidate for the 3rd District Council seat. And along the lines of the quality of life, the city of Compton is often criticized because we don't have what is perceived to be a lot of youth programs. So the question I pose to the candidates is, what do you proactively see yourself doing to improve that? That we do have things for our youth to do, places to go, etc.
Mayor? Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, first, I think we probably need to do a better job of communicating the programs that we do have. The sheriffs have a youth athletic league that a lot of people don't utilize. We have Major League Baseball Academy. We have Tomorrow Aeronautical Museum where you can learn how to be an airline pilot or a helicopter pilot. And it's an after-school program. We built a new skate park, Tony Hawk Skate Park. New tennis court. We got 2 new parks. I think we need to do a better job with Parks and Recreation. I remember Parks and Recreation in the summertime, they would have trips to San Diego Zoo, Universal Studios. There was a guy by the name of Terry Matthews, white guy, worked at Wilson Park. He exposed me to bicycle riding, hockey games, stuff that I would never been exposed to. I think we can get our Parks and Recreation Department back to that, go out into the community and recruit kids to come to the parks and use them, and get the school district involved too. If we can utilize the schools, because a lot of kids won't come. You won't get a kid that live in my neighborhood to come to this park. Because the kids in my neighborhood, the Crips, this is a blood neighborhood, they're not coming over there. And if we do more neighborhood things, then we get that participation.
Mr. Davis?
What I can do, and again, it goes back to time when many people that are involved, I don't remember it, but summer youth program, it needs to be reinstituted. Young people doing summer need to have something to do with jobs. But the difference that my vision is not just jobs for the kids from disadvantaged families, but also from working families. I used to hear so many citizens and kids complain about, well, my dad makes $50,000, so I can't get a job. How do you achieve that? Go to the industrial base and the business base. Part of my plan is, and someone else will pick up on it later, I plan to go to every business in that industrial park and many of these businesses around over here and establish a relationship with these people. I got nothing but time. So that federal money covers low-income people. We need to get some other money in here to cover kids that are from working families. Give them some jobs, that helps them something during the summer, put some money in their pocket and gives them some responsibility. The parks programs the mayor was talking about, they're doing a pretty good job on that. But I think we need to re-push this summer youth program back and give these kids some jobs. All kids, not just this batch. Thank you.
And I'm in agreement with the rest of the panel. The city does offer a lot to our youth, and I think we're just doing a poor job at advertising it. So we need to do a much better job of advertising, because a lot of things are going on. I'm a city employee, I don't even know. They have Zumba classes, they have exercise classes for senior citizens, and a lot of programs for our youth. One thing that I found out as a union president is that there's only one center director or one person working at the parks, and they can't work all the programs by themselves. So I think we need to probably collaborate with some of the churches or mentoring programs to give them some help, to help work the programs that we do have. Because even some of my coworkers, they offer cooking classes and a lot of things for our youth, but we don't hear about it. So the first thing we need to do is better advertisement. Because I think the sheriffs, do you still have boxing programs?
Yes.
That's an excellent program. I would like to do that myself.
Yes, my name is Dr. Scott, and I'm District 1. And I come to you tonight, I'm going to speak for the Centennial Park Block Club, which I'm the president.
You're going to frame this in a question, right?
I'm going to give you a question right now. I want to start with the question is, I'd like when you got put it back on. What are, I'm going to start with Perry. What are the three major things that you like to improve on in our city? You've been here for a while. What are the three major things on your mind right now that will improve the condition of our city? So I'm listening. I'm taking back my seat.
Okay, we really can get the same answer, because we did that already, but.
Yeah.
I'm kind of going to pretty much repeat, so excuse me. I keep going back to quality of life. We got to get a maintenance schedule to make sure we trim our trees on the schedule, pave our streets, graffiti removal, basic things like that. The other things I can see, we got to get more fiscally sound. Right now, we're not in a fiscally sound position, so I want to get us in a more fiscally sound position, so that's 2. 3, and I got to harken back to the sheriff's department, maintain what they're doing right now, because the crime in Compton is probably at the lowest levels it's ever been. So those are the 3 things that are most important to me.
Mr. Davis?
Almost same thing what the mayor said. Quality of life issues, clean streets, good service, and taking down one other level. In our planning and business department, we need to become a lot more business friendly in this community. I have a couple of clients that had issues with the planning department, and it took them almost 7 months to get through the zoning process and conditions written. Part of it has to do with staffing, but also part of it has to do with attitude. The other thing, like I mentioned before, about stabilizing on the finances, we've got to do something. We've got to look at the budget, see where our money is. You can't do anything unless you have revenue, unless you have income. And if you're going to do it, just like at the federal level. If you're going to do this program, then you're going to cut that program. And which program do you cut? Has to be a full council issue. It's not his program or my program, it's our program. And then you go to the people and explain to them, we're gonna have to cut this if we want that. That helps us somewhat, I believe. Thank you very much.
I'm going to repeat my answers earlier. First one is to get us back in shape fiscally. The second one is to provide better city services or more city services. And the third one is to get our youth involved in the programs that we do offer, do a better job of advertising them and perhaps collaborate with some of the ministries in town to get our youth involved in visiting and training. Thanks.
Okay. I got you.
Okay, so, Mrs. Edmonds.
I'm gonna just
Mr. Edmonds.
I'm going to lead up with a brief statement. Just looking around the room, we have very caring citizens who are here. And I'm pretty sure that if not 100%, but a little less than 100% of you live within the city. Thereby living within the city, you all care. You care about the aesthetics of your city, the appearance of your city. And number two, you care about the services that you should be given in the city as a resident. I heard a statement, I believe it was you, Mr. Mayor, who made the statement a few minutes ago. At the beginning, you said that there is a fix that is needed within the city, and that is our fiscal problem. We have a spending problem. That's why we are, what, $42 million in a deficit? Correct me if I'm wrong. I understand in 2008, I could be wrong, that we had $22 million reserve. If that is true, that means since 2008, and here we are, year 13, not quite 5 years, we have spent $64 million of money that we were not getting in. That's a lot of money. So in that, it is an easy fix. Can either of you tell me, since it's such an easy fix, why has it not been fixed in 5 years?
What else are you running for?
We can start with the mayor on that.
One reason why it hasn't, well, let me correct one thing. The $43 million gets tossed around quite a bit. That's internal borrowing through departments. That's been going on for decades as far as I've been told. The street department would take money and take it and use it for parks and recreation. So been internal borrowing. So we've been trying to get that balance to stop it. So that's one of the things I've been trying to do. But the $28 million that you were speaking of, one of the problems we had is this. We had city manager, and I take full responsibility to this as the mayor. But the mayor has one vote. We've had city managers in there, and a council person will say, hey, I want to have this. And the city manager say, sure, you can have it. Another council person come in there and say, I want to have this. Sure, you can have it. Not telling us we don't have the money or we're going into our reserves. I was never told that we were using our reserves to balance the budget. Unfortunately, these city managers, they want to keep their jobs. The last thing they want to do is make sure that they got 3 people against them. So if you got 3 council people that want to do something, a project or something, and this city manager has to have the fortitude to say, no, we haven't had that.
Thank you.
And unfortunately, until you get somebody with some integrity in the office and say, I don't care what you want, Mr. Mayor, we don't have the money. And the council people got to accept the fact you don't have the money.
Mr. Davis.
Yes, when I heard the number, you know, the 40 million and all that, when I ran my background's in the county, I ran the numbers in 2010, and the real number was about $4 million. How do you fix that? You get a little bit more conservative in how you spend the money in that. But more importantly, you've got to have financial controls on the system. Not shooting at Mr. Norfleet, but when he was city controller, he took the financial controls off the various accounts. When I was clerking, I got $100,000 budget. When I hit that 101,000, there was no POs gonna be cut. I had to go back to the city council and get approval. That's why I'm saying go back to separate checking accounts. City council used to get a check warrant every month, and it used to come to the clerk's office. Don't happen in the clerk would file. That showed a list of all your checks. Doesn't happen anymore. You know, there's some things you can do to fix those problems very easily. Get quarterly expense report, expenditure to receipt reports, and then talk about them on the floor publicly. Make them available to the public so they can see it. The more people that know about it, the more people will do the right thing. Thank you.
And I concur that there has to be better control. The city has a way, I worked on the budget team for several years, preparing the city's budget. And I must say that we got a little, I wouldn't say we because I wasn't in charge of putting the budget out. They were a little creative and they over forecast. And I worked in 2006 and I can't sit up here and honestly tell you that we had that much in our reserve. You know, it was said, but nobody verified it. And they were borrowing from internal funds, and when Mr. Yule was there, he fixed that, so that will be paid back. So we're not in as worse shape as it was put out there. I don't think we're on the verge of bankruptcy anymore. I think we are in recovery mode, but it's going to take less spending, more control, because you can spend $49.99 POs all day, and it doesn't even have to be reported, but they add up. You spend 4 of those and you have $20,000. So I think we need to have better control of finances.
Yeah, thank you. Mrs. Stover.
Rita Stoll, District 3. What are your preferences of this being a contract city or a charter city?
Charter city. Charter city. Everybody knows what a charter city is versus a contract city?
No.
Go ahead.
Charter city, you have a charter that was approved by the voters and submitted to the state, and that's your basic document, your living document. And from that, you have ordinances and resolutions to do business every day. Versus a contract city, and also you have normally your own police, fire, public works, planning and zoning people. That, versus if you're a contract city like Carson, the county of LA may do their zoning issues for them, or the county may have a fire department or a police department. But also in a contract city, normally they follow state general law. The government code of the state of California is their basic document to govern. That's why, like many general law cities, their elections are in even number of years, where ours is in odd number of years. Torrance, Compton, Long Beach, LA, or in odd number of years, whereas many other cities are in even number of years because they're general law cities. That's just in a nutshell real quick, but I favor charter cities.
So charter cities have their own rules and regulations that they go by, and contract cities go by the state of California rules and regulations, governed by the state.
And as long as you don't conflict with state law, you can do through the people who voted charter amendments through the people. You can do almost whatever you want to do.
And you're for a charter city?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Dow?
I'm also for chartered cities. I think we need to continuously update our charter. However, before recently, it hadn't been updated in a very long time, I think 1979. But I think the people are able to change the charter if we see fit. So I think we need to continue to have our chartered city.
I think we should have a charter city. We have been sloppy in our bookkeeping. I just want to throw this out there since we've been talking about some public safety issues. If you look at the city charter now, you will see references to chief of police. Under the treasury department, you see that the treasurer collects money to give from the police department for bail. When this issue came up about getting rid of the police department, which was decided by the council, when it went to court, one of the issues that came up was it's not listed in the city charter that you shall have a police department. Well, years ago, whoever was transferring the information, they forgot to lay that line out. But all you have to do is just infer. How do you have a chief of police without having a police department? But for whatever reason, the judge ruled against it. I just want to kind of get that out. You have to make sure you're going to have a charter city, that you keep the letter, follow it all the way. We didn't do that.
How many here have a copy of the charter? Let me see a show of hands. Okay, so we have quite a few people who have a charter. If we wanted to get a charter and we don't have one, where do we go?
City clerk.
City
City
clerk.
council.
And online, and online.
You can print it free online.
Just a point of information. Ms. Hart.
Carolyn Harvey, District 3. My concerns were the Sheriff's Department, and that's been explained, I think, and potholes, and that has also been explained. Thank you.
Sir.
My name is James Brown, District 4, and kind of late getting here, but just from what I've heard, it sounds as if though there needs to be a lot more transparency in the city government, and how would you go about doing that? Because because I watched a lot of your council meetings Tuesdays, and when I was tuned in, I'm more confused when I turn it off. Now, when I turn it on. So I'm really trying to figure out how you guys go about, you know, bringing more transparency to the viewers and to the city.
Well, one of my stances is transparency, and I plan to share anything and everything that I can legally with the citizens. I'm not going to try to hold anything back. If I feel that it's not being done properly, I want to put it out there so the citizens can have a say in it. And I believe in transparency.
I think we need to get back to, and this mayor didn't come under his watch, it was before he became mayor. But it used to be that items that were on the agenda, staff made a report, and then the council voted. It doesn't happen no more, but it started way before he became mayor, when he's changed that. And I think it consumes a little bit more time, but because we're in a more electronic, and a lot of people watch us on television, plus you can now video stream it off your computer and see what's going on, it makes it a lot more accessible to the people. If even the remedial things, staff should make an explanation of what it is and what we're voting on, and then go forward. I think that would help a lot of people on what they're watching on TV, you know, and keep them a little bit more informed as to what a council's going through and what they're voting on. Thank you.
In order to get more transparency, I think it's incumbent upon, one, as all elected officials, to do their job. And if they see something that they can say, they need to say it. There's this instance that came up about the gentleman, the two gentlemen, I'm gonna call them gentlemen in the worst sense of the word, who committed this assault on this guy on 155th Street. There was information that was shared with us that we couldn't share with the public. And I still can't share it with the public to this day. So there's some things you cannot share. But there are certain things in that city charter that if people would follow, we wouldn't have some of the issues we have. One of the issues that we have had since I've been up there as mayor, we kind of getting it under control. The city controller, for years, thought that he or she worked for the city manager. The people that developed this charter, they wanted that separate because they didn't want a city manager going out of control, just spinning and spinning. And the city controller, he or she is condoning it. No, you need to tell me, hey, that city manager is spending too much money.
Right.
Okay, real good. Also, we have in our midst is Janice Sarita. She's our city council person for the 1st District. Ms. Sarita, do you have questions you'd like to ask the panel?
Not necessarily, just that I wish the best for everyone. I do think as being a part of the team that I'm looking forward to a team that is willing to look at revising the charter. Society has changed a lot, and everything needs to be changed with time. And I'm just looking forward to a team that will be willing to move the city forward. I wish you all well.
Okay, you have a statement, it's not a question, right? And we have Alita Godwin, who is our city clerk. Do you have a question, or do you have a statement?
I don't have a question, but I will make a statement since transparency came up. Mr. Brown, it might be easy. You can now download the entire agenda packet, so it might help as you're viewing the meetings, that you have those documents that it should explain to you as council is going through the items. So just a suggestion.
Yeah, I'm quite sure that would help.
Yeah, so you can go on, it's usually posted by Thursday, no later than Friday, and so you can download that.
And the gentleman in the green shirt, just another, so quiet, you have a question?
Oh, Mr. Lewis, no, not yet.
Okay, now we're gonna go on to the final phase of this panel discussion.
Sir, I do have a question. I'm not just here working, okay?
Okay, Ryan, go ahead.
Ron Dow at large. There is an amendment to the Compton Municipal Code that we're going to be asked to vote for on April. This is what it says. All police powers as prescribed by federal and state law that can be carried out by a municipal police department shall be provided by the Los Angeles County Sheriff Department for the city of Compton. The city should annually budget funds to cover the cost for Los Angeles County Sheriff Department services. Each of the candidates, do you or do you not support this, and why?
Good question. Mayor?
I'll start off. I don't support that, and the reason why I don't support it is because the way it's written, we will be the only city that contract services out to the sheriff that would have this as a law. Because of the way it's written, we would have to pay the sheriff's department first. So if the sheriff's department decides to charge us $100 million, and our budget was $150 million, we have to pay them the $100 million, and the $50 million, even though you had budgeted that you needed $100 million to take care of that 50, you're gonna have to cut $50 million worth of programs. I don't agree with it because it seems like you're treating our city differently than you're treating other cities. I haven't said anything about it because I wanted to replace the sheriffs and have our own local control. That's why I haven't been saying too much about it. I'm satisfied with the sheriff's department. I'm not thinking about bringing Compton PD back. That's a dead issue.
Well, as many of you know, I support it because I wrote that article. I wrote that. And what amazes me, I'm getting heat now, but what amazes me, when we wrote that in 2010, the city council was hell-bent on bringing back a Compton Police Department. They were budgeting, funding, moving Public Works Department out, they're buying equipment and all that. I ran the numbers, and the police department they were talking about bringing back, and if you go back and look at the record, was 86 cops. When we lost our police department, we had 135 sworn officers thereabout. There was nights when we had our own, when there was only 4 police officers, 1 in district, and sergeant and lieutenant. I wrote it, and it's not quite true. There's a schedule that every contract city pays the same rate. We still will have the power, if we want 50 cops, 80 cops, 90 cops, we're not, if we had our own police department right now, we'd be paying $30 million. And it's only our own police department. At the time, I don't necessarily, I wrote the argument for it even. We still have control. Don't let anybody think you don't. And I think a lot of people are on this now on the other side of it because I decided to run for mayor. And they think I'm gonna get some points on it. So that's why they're up. I hear so much heat on this now. Thank you.
Well, I haven't read the wording for myself, so I would have to read that wording and make a decision. So at this time, I'm gonna remain neutral on it.
Is there anyone that I missed? Okay, we'll go to the second. Anybody else? No? Okay, hold on. Going to the second. Okay, going to the second phase of this. The second phase is this. We're going to have 3 minutes each candidate, and then if anybody have any responses to what the candidate said, they'll have a minute to respond, okay? So, Ms. Downs, I'm gonna start you at 3 minutes.
Okay. I am passionate about this city. I live here, I'm a homeowner here. I want to improve the quality of life in this city. I have gone to school to educate myself in public administration. I have training in urban planning, public finance, and anything that goes along with governmental procedures, best practices. So I feel that I am a good candidate for this position, being a 21-year employee. I have an inside scoop on a lot of things. A lot of my coworkers have retired, and I'm still here. I have some history that I can probably share with a lot of the administration if they would listen, to help improve our city services and our finances, as well as promoting businesses in the city, because we need to bring more businesses. We have one sit-down restaurant, and if you go at the wrong time, you're gonna miss your lunch break, because everybody's trying to get into that one sit-down restaurant. So I think we need to be more business-friendly, to bring in more restaurants of that quality into the city. And I know from the inside that our business program is not that friendly sometimes. And it could be people, or we need to perhaps revamp the way we do business in the city and the way we reach out to bring in more businesses to the city. And then that's all contingent upon public safety as well, because people aren't going to want to come to your city. I've talked to people in our neighborhood that say, well, you know, I don't live in this city. I have a business in this city, but I almost tear my car up trying to get to my own business. So we have to do a better job of providing city services so businesses will want to come to our city. That's going to bring in more revenue. That's going to help us become more fiscally sound, and it's going to improve our city. It's going to improve our property value. And if we provide and collaborate with the churches here in this city and some of the mentoring programs, I've talked to numerous people that want to help our kids and want to offer programs to our kids and training. And if we can collaborate and do that, I think we will put this city on a hill, like I often hear the mayor say. We'll be that city set on a hill that cannot be hid. And I thank you for allowing me to come to this forum today, and this panel today, and God bless you all. Thank you.
First off, I'd like to say thank you for having us here, because this is good. It drains the brain a little bit at times. Most of you know me. You know my style. Some people call me a little tacky at times, but at the same time, I don't mind taking on any issue. I'm the only candidate in any of the races that were not city officials. I have to qualify that, because some people that were not city officials that got up and spoke against them raising our water rates. I made an alternative suggestion, and that was pay as you go. Didn't happen. Me and Lily Darden, who was a retired water director, we got out in the streets and tried to get people with petitions to do something. Didn't happen. We had 30 days on that one. Yes, I stood up and took the leadership role when the issue came up about Compton PD versus the Sheriff's Department. I knew him when he was a cop. Probably, I think I swore him in. We had a good police department. People talk about corrupt. It wasn't corrupt. You might have had a couple of bad people, but for the nature of the beast, it was a big one in our city. The sheriff's agencies better able to handle it. The only reason I stood up and got involved and did what I did was because in my heart, and if you go to www.comptoncity.com tonight, I own that domain name, and I've owned it for the last 14 years or so. You'll see there where I ran the numbers on the police versus sheriff's department back then in 2010. Brought it before the council and begged them, please don't do this. In my heart, I believed they were going to do it. And the only thing that stopped it was us and the people that got involved with those petitions. People can change the history, but if you were out there at the time, you knew what was happening with this thing. But anyway, I'm committed to the city. Has a lot of problems, mostly in the financial area. The mayor's talking about attitude in the city, city employee attitude. I remember back in the day, the council and the other elected officials, we put the Christmas party on for the employees. We all went in our pocket and paid for it. That was a thank you for doing a good job, so that the citizens don't be on our back so much, and the citizens were reelected us. It doesn't happen no more. We got to go back to, and people, I was at a thing today, and somebody said, we don't need to go back. We need to go forward. We need to have a new vision. If you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat the bad parts of your history. And I've worked with some good city council people and some bad. I've worked with this mayor and the other ones in the past, every one of them. And we have some very good ones, and the other one goes 15 seconds. Anyway, hey, I got some signs in my car. I walked in there, one sign, I got them, free to get them, and I got some cards too, and we also ticket donations. Thank you very much. Always ask for that.
Well, first I want to thank the concerned citizens for putting on this panel. I joined the Concerned Citizens before I started running for mayor. One of the reasons why I joined the Concerned Citizens because I was concerned of the direction the city was going. And one thing I always told everybody that were members of the Concerned Citizens, keep an eye on me. And if you see I'm doing something that's not proper, please put me in check. So I'm still glad that the Concerned Citizens is still thriving and going. We have some more work to get done here in the city of Compton. I believe if people actually look at me and my family, we've been here for the long haul. My father, he worked for the city for over 30 years. My brother was a police officer here in the city for over 30 years. My mother worked right over there at George Washington Elementary School as a cafeteria worker. And she worked in the laundry as a crossing guard, making $1.25 an hour. We're committed to this community. I believe in Compton. I believe that we have a lot of intelligent, informative people here in the city of Compton. I think, unfortunately, we have put people in office who have put their self-interest first instead of the citizens. I'm not concerned about trying to use the job as mayor to go to another political position. I've never tried to go to another political position. I've been recruited to run for almost every elective office you can think of. Assemblyman, state senator, congressperson, and even supervisor. But I love this city, and I think we can do better. I wish the mayor had more power. I wish I had the power to fire and hire. Because if I could, there would be a lot of people, not a lot, because once you fire a couple of them, then everybody else is going to get in line. Unfortunately, there's a lot of good employees, and I don't want to harp on the fact a few bad apples make the whole city look bad. But if we can get those few people in line, then we'll be great. Mr. Turner brought up a question that I thought was very appropriate. We have 12 people running for mayor. Some of these people I've never seen before. The one thing I do have is respect for the candidates that I know that live in this city and are fighting for this city. We might be opponents as mayor, but I know where their heart is. But you got, like Mr. Turner said, some Johnny-come-latelys, and we've had them in every election. We even had one who ran against me, who bought a home, and then within a week had sold a home and had left. So I'm seeking your support so we can finish the job of birthing a new county. Thank you.
Let's get on with the panel. I want to thank you for taking the time to come and speak with us. And now I'm going to open up the floor for 5 minutes for anyone who has any response questions to what was just said. If not, we'll move on.
And maybe I probably have more of a comment. I'm trying to bring them to the question. Because as they were speaking, there were some issues that came up that I jotted some notes down. And one was, I think, and this is more of a teaching lesson than it is of a question, but the notion of having a succession plan. We talk about developing the youth. And I think that whoever gets into office must have the mindset to have a succession plan. Who will I train to take my place? These jobs are not for life. So you have to think about who will succeed me. The second thing, I was really annoyed by this, and I must bring it out, is that at the council meeting Tuesday, this is probably addressed to the captain, the people who are there in the chamber on the phone for the whole duration of the council meeting is unacceptable to me. Maybe fine to everybody, the sheriffs who have signed it. I believe they're paid to be there, and they need to put their attention to that facility.
You're not voting on issues or items of the city for the best interest of the citizens or the people. What would you do?
Well, if I become the mayor, and I've thought about that, agenda item comes up, I call her up and I ask her, I say, what do you think about this item? You know, you got to get the input from the other people, and then engage. And I've learned this since I've been on the college board. You know, even though two of my members were not that cool at times, but one of them, we put a lot of hours in talking on issues, and by talking, you work through the understanding, and sometimes it moves people around in the thought process. And should I speak out? No, I shouldn't, possibly. So to me, the first thing is to communicate. Call once, call twice, call 3 times. Because it's important to get the other person's input from the other side, see what they're feeling. Now, if they're doing something illegal, take it in the back room and deal with it. Just a sidebar, when they got the credit cards, I opened up the mail. First council, they got them in July, used them in August building. In September, I went into closed session. If only 2 of them used them then, and I told them then I'd never go to closed session. Somebody's going to go to jail. I had to testify that in court by what I saw. I have no problem speaking to the issue.
Mayor, go ahead, Ms. Thomas.
Okay. Well, like, I'm not going to do anything illegal, and I'm not going to sit there and condone anyone else. So I believe there should be transparency far as changing their mind. I would try to persuade them to do what's best for the city, but they're one vote just like mine. So I would give them the facts and encourage them to make an informed decision and remind them of why we were elected, to serve this city, and not to put your interests ahead of the community.
Okay. Mayor?
Well, I will continue to voice my opinion. I guess I'm really not a good politician because unlike Mr. Davis, I don't call people up. I think if you're a grown person, you're an adult, you know what the right thing to do. Now, if there's some issues that I think might be wavering, and they call me, I don't mind expressing my opinion. But most of the time, I don't talk to you. I'll talk to Ms. Dobson. She should make her own decision. So I'm going to continue to say what I got to say on the floor, and hopefully what I have to say on the floor will influence them to the decision that is right for the citizens. Not so much for me, because I made mistakes. I'll be the first to say that I ain't voted right every time. But I try to make an informed decision based on all the information I had. Now, I've been given some information that wasn't correct, and I voted, and I found out later somebody sold me a bill of goods. Now, I got to take the hit for it because I'm the mayor. It was my responsibility to find out. And I don't think you should just rely on staff reports either, or your liaison. You need to go get the information yourself. I don't trust nothing the city manager tells me, the city controller. I know how to read. I read it myself and I dissect it.
Thank you.
Can I finish?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
You say you don't communicate with the rest of them?
behind doors.
Okay, yeah. I thought maybe, like Charles said, if it was an issue up, you could find out what that person think about the issue before you get to the council, while you're on TV.
There's a problem with that,
I watch a lot of that.
But there's a problem with the Brown Act with that also. And I think a lot of council people are not informed about the law. I'm an attorney. You cannot have what's called a successive meeting with three people. Like for instance, let's give you an example. The three of us on the council. If I call Mr. Davis up and I say, Mr. Davis, I'm gonna vote yes on this particular item.
No, I didn't say that.
No, I'm just saying discussing. I'm just saying discussing. Then I hang up the phone with Mr. Davis and I call up Ms. Downs and I discuss the same thing with her and I say, I'm gonna vote yes. Well, technically, we just had a council meeting, which is
Don't say how
illegal.
you're gonna vote.
No.
Just ask the person their opinion, that's what I was.
Well, that's a little fine line.
Mr. Mayor, I'm just
Yes.
saying this because like
Okay,
I
no
said,
debate.
I watch a lot of city council meetings, and it's to me so frustrating to see so much time going, debating back and forth and arguing. As a matter of fact, you really just sometimes get argumentative with the city manager. And to me, I'm like, okay, well, what's the problem? Cannot we understand? And you have some good points, I listen to you when you say them. But my thing was, could you just see, not, okay, I'm gonna vote for this, you vote, how you gonna vote no? Just say what you think.
It's not gonna change.
Okay.
I'll be honest with you. That is not gonna change.
Okay.
All right, real good.
I agree with you though, I want to make sure I agree with you.
Okay.
But most of these things are predetermined before we even get there. Only thing I'm doing when we get up there is communicating to you guys. I'm not communicating to them council people, because they already made their minds up. I'm trying to be transparent so you guys know what's going on.
But it just wastes a lot of time.
I agree with you, but it's my job to let you know what's going on.
Yes.
Well, that's not quite true, and I work with 7 different mayors. I'm not gonna debate.
Okay, now hold on, no debate.
No debate, but
Just
I've watched, learning from different mayors and 20-some different council people. Many times, even with the Brown Act in place, people talk to each other. If you don't talk, all it does is it fights. It creates fights and unnecessary issues. They don't have to see what your vote is, but just input, conversation. This mayor, when he became mayor, I spent probably 20 hours with him, 30, the first 6 months or more.
Okay, well, thank you for your responses. Is there any other burning questions before we close? Okay, I'd like to say, Ron.
Raise your hand if you trust police. Raise your hand if you trust police.
Okay, hold on a second. We're going to another phase.
Right now, okay, now let me ask another question. Raise your hand if you think it would be to our benefit as a city to trust police. Okay, that brings me to a proposal that I am making to the sheriff department to have a unit that concentrates on that, building trust for cities like Compton. How do you do it? You first have a high-level unit or bureau designed for that purpose to do 3 things. 1, to figure out how to prevent crime, but to focus solely on ways to build trust so that we can trust them to make our city better. I have a letter and a proposal that's going to the sheriff, and I have it right back there for you to read. And I'm looking to get signatures from people in Compton, because I want it to come from Compton. So it's right back there. I got about 100. I'm looking to get 200. If you are so inclined, if you agree that it might be better, then we need to put the sheriff's focus on how to build trust. And I'm not casting any dispersion on anyone who's here, but I already know these people that I trust them.
I'm just gonna say one thing, Ron, me and you can talk about that anytime, and we can build a program, and the sheriff is not opposed to Compton doing what they wanna do, how they wanna do it, when they wanna do it. But if you wanna get together and build it and draw a program, we can do it.
Okay, great.
If that's an issue now, all this time, why that haven't been in place?
Well,
building
well-
that relationship?
Someone has to bring it up, and we just have to coalesce, and we just have to move forward. We have Captain Walker who's willing to work with Ron, who's willing to work.
It was never a glaring thing that there wasn't a sense of trust. I'm always available and welcome to discuss anything.
Well, see, the whole thing is got to go a little beyond Captain Walker. When she leaves, it has to be there. And when Lieutenant Cummings leaves, it has to be there. That's the problem.
Are we done with the meeting?
Yes, hold on for a second. Okay, first of all, I'd like to say this. Now, I know you all are used to Mrs. Hollis running these meetings, but Mrs. Hollis is right now on an airplane going to her home state to take care of some family business. That's why she's not here this evening. So, my name is Joseph Lewis. I'm the Vice President, and I'm at the helm this evening. I want to thank all of you for cooperating as you have. You made my job very easy. And I want to thank the panelists for coming, and I hope you were comfortable. Thank you. And before we leave, I would like for Bruce to say a prayer to get us home safe. Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to you for getting us out exactly at time.
Okay, let's bow our head. Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to fellowship with one another. For we all have the same purpose and mission and goal. And that is to make our world in which we live, our city that we live in, a better place to be. These are those who we must entrust this city to for the guidance of the leadership. We're grateful for the opportunity. We ask that you send everyone home safely until their appointed place and their time to be back with us again. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Joseph, the pears.
Fruit. Anybody would like to have one? Help
each other's board.